Hey everybody, my name is Diego and today I will be explaining some basics of piano theory such as the notes using Western music notation, the sheet music and its parts such as clefs, accidentals and types of notes. I will also be explaining what are chords and its types, as well as what is a scale and its most common types. Apart from that, I will also be analyzing Beethoven's Moonlight Sonata, such as chords, scales, and the details of the song in the sheet music. In Western music, we have 12 notes which repeat all along the piano. So, in the center, in this section, we have 12 notes. So, the whites are C, D, E, F, G, A, and B. But you may notice we only have 7 notes here. That's why the blacks are also included in Western music, but I'll explain them later. In music, one of the very basics to know is what are intervals. So intervals are the note-to-note relationship we hear in music. So first, we have a tone or a whole step. This is the distance between a note and another. So between C and D, we have a whole step. The same thing happens with most of the whites, so like with D and E. So what happens between E and F? As we don't have a black note dividing them, it means that we have a semitone. Semitones are the distance between a note and the one directly above it, meaning that between a white and a black note, so for example between C and the right next above it, it's a semitone. So the same thing happens between E and F and B and C, because as I explained before, we don't have a black note dividing them. So now that we know the different notes and what are intervals, we're ready to talk about sheet music. So a sheet music is a handwritten or printed notation that communicates to a musician how to play a piece of music. So inside the sheet music, we have several parts that together make the sheet music. Okay, so the first part we're going to talk about are clefs. Clefs indicate how you should read the sheet music. So we have two types, treble clef and bass clef. The treble clef is usually played with the right hand, and it indicates that the notes should be read from C to A, beginning from the center and going up, like this. Then we have the treble clef, which is typically played with the left hand. So it means that it should be read from C to A, beginning from the center and going down, so like this. In Moonlight Sonata, we have both clefs, so it means that as we have the treble and the bass clef, we play with the right and the left hand. Musical notes vary in duration, so we have 3 main types of notes. A whole note is a single note that covers the entirety of a 4-beat measure, so like this. 1, 2, 3, 4. The whole note is a single note that covers half of a 4-beat measure or 2 beats, so like this. 1, 2, 3, 4. Then the quarter note is a single note that covers 1/4 of a 4-beat measure or 1 beat. So like this. 1, 2, 3, 4. We're going to talk about one of the most important concepts in music, accidentals. Remember how I said at the beginning I was going to explain the rest of the notes using Western music notation? Well, this here. We have 3 main types of accidentals: sharps, flats, and naturals. A sharp indicates that you should play a note half a step higher. So let's say we have C sharp. This means we should play C half a step higher. C sharp. A flat indicates you should play the note half a step lower. So let's say we have D flat. So this means D should be played half a step lower. So D flat. As you can see, we have the same note for C sharp and D flat. This happens with most of the notes. For example, with the black note between F and G, we have F sharp, so F, F sharp, and G flat, so G, G flat. Sharps and flats are mostly used through all of the song. That's why they're shown at the very beginning of the sheet music and repeated on each row. A natural means that you should disregard any previously indicated accidentals. So let's say we have C sharp and it asks us to play it natural. So this means that C sharp should be played as a natural, a C sharp. In Moonlight Sonata we only have sharps. So we have the sharps C, D, F, and G. These four. Chords are two or more notes played together. Most basic chords are built using 3 notes. Most chords are built based on the root note, meaning if we have F major, the whole chord is going to be built on F. So we have 4 types of chords: major, minor, diminished, and augmented. Major chords tend to sound full, resolved, and complete. So the second note is a major third, which is 4 semitones above the root note, and the third note is a perfect fifth, which is 7 semitones above the root note. Meaning, if we want to play C major, we have C as our root note, then we count 4 semitones, 1, 2, 3, 4. So we have E, and then we count 3 semitones, so 1, 2, 3. We have G, so we have C major. Minor chords tend to sound dark and sad. So our second note is a minor third, which is 3 semitones above the root note, and the third note is a perfect fifth, which is 7 semitones above the root note. So let's say we want to play C minor. So we have C as our root note, then we count 3 semitones, so E flat, and then we count 4 semitones, 1, 2, 3, 4, G, so C minor. Diminished chords add a tense and dissonant sound to music. So the second note is a minor third, which is 3 semitones above the root note, and the third note is a tritone, which is 6 semitones above the root note. So if we want to play C diminished, we have C as a root note, then we count 3 semitones, so 1, 2, 3. We have E flat, and then we count another 3 semitones, so 1, 2, 3. That's G flat, so C diminished. Finally, augmented chords add an odd and unsettling sound to music. So the second note is a major third, which is 4 semitones above the root note, and the third note is a raised fifth, which is 8 semitones above the root note. So if we want to play C augmented, we have C as our root note, then we count 4 semitones, so 1, 2, 3, 4, that's E, and then we count another 4 semitones, so 1, 2, 3, 4, that's G sharp, so C augmented. Inversions are chords in which the notes have changed position and the root note is no longer the base of the chord. So for example, if we have a chord that's written C/E, it means that the C represents the C major chord, so C and G, C major, and the /E means that the E note has changed position to become the base of the chord. So like this, E, G, C, we have the first inversion of the chord. In Moonlight Sonata, one of the most common chords is the second inversion of the C sharp major. So we have the root note, the first inversion, and the second inversion. We also get a transition between the first and the second inversion of this chord, like this. Also, at the very beginning of the song, we have an A major chord that is played like this. We also get a complete inversion between the root, the first and the second inversion of the F sharp major chord. So like this. We have several changes from minor to major chords during the song. As an example of this, we have a B minor that is played like this, and immediately after we have a B major like this. Mostly at the end of the song, we get a D sharp diminished chord that is played like this, which then changes to a D major chord like this. Scales are a collection of notes placed one after another that together follow a set pattern of intervals. We have two main types of scales, major and minor scales. Major scales are often associated with the major keys that include major chords. They tend to sound happy or bright, so like this. Minor scales come from the minor keys that we often associate with sad sounding music. like this. Moonlight Sonata is written in a C sharp minor scale that sounds like this. Now that we've learned all of the basics of music theory, we're ready to move on to Moonlight Sonata. Thank you so much for watching the video. I hope you've enjoyed it and learned something new. See you next time.